at some point you stop learning how to play basketball and you start learning how to win. I think you start doing that there by next year. I think this year was just learning how to be a team. One thing that people are talking about is how Wemby essentially didn't really help the Spurs win any extra games this year. That the record didn't really help his case, especially with like even Rookie of the Year, even though he won it with like Defensive Player of the Year and things like that. Even though he was obviously a huge defensive presence anytime a player would be near him. But they did talk about Wemby and his teammates. Teammates don't feed him, they don't help him out or anything like that. Where, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, it's a team sport. We kind of, as fans, get caught up in the moment and we kind of don't understand where, like, the timeline of things, where the windows of championships actually are. Wemby was not going to be able to get us to a championship this year, of course. He might have been able to get us to a playoff, the playoffs this year, but for what? Oh no! Right, like we got the number 4 and number 8 pick this year because we didn't play so good, but we were able to develop as a team. So real quick, just kind of building on that. Right now, the Spurs are building a team of positionless basketball. Right, so winning wasn't the point of this season. It was kind of leaning on or leading Wemby and leaning on him into the team, was first. It was the whole point was for Wemby to kind of start getting used to his team, the country really, and the league. Where it's just the first year. I mean, you're really just get thrown in there, and he was kind of winning just because of natural talent and raw athleticism. But the number 2 was thing that they focused on was the general and individual development. I mean, the reason why the Spurs went back, they shot threes less. They were almost 20th or last in defense without Wemby. The reason all this happened, the reason why the Spurs weren't able to kind of make have a really good record this year is simply because they're just too young. The median age is 23 and a half years old. They're trying to run the whole team through a 19-year-old that's never played in the NBA. So this year wasn't so much about winning, unfortunately, or it was about winning, but it was about winning individually for the players. We need to have team, chemistry. We can't attract free agent amazingness like LA and New York and any of them. We're just San Antonio. So they literally have to kind of build within. So with that, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree. I mean, we had high expectations just because Wemby is a generational talent. But I mean, this true fans of the game know, one player, cannot turn the whole organization around in such a small span of time, especially since, like you said, the median age for the Spurs team was 23 and a half years old. I mean, we do have a lot of potential and growth to do, and it'll take some time, or maybe even a few veteran players to be added to the roster to kind of help bolster the basketball IQ. The raw talent is there. Now we need to develop the mind. I mean, you could see Oklahoma City right now. They're duking it out with the Dallas. They're a fairly young team, and they got draft picks for years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be a good thing or bad thing because, like I said, maybe they could use those draft picks as leverage to maybe bring other players in. But yes, there's definitely a lot of potential and raw talent. Wemby, I'd say he, with the exception of not winning Defensive Player of the Year, he kind of met all expectations we had for him.
Yeah. He's actually cool. He's a cool dude.
He is a very humble man. He respects, his teammates. You saw the whole thing about Drake wanted to have him up on stage or concert or whatever, and Wemby didn't want to go without his teammates.
Yeah.
So he did end up not going. Like that shows character.
Yeah.
At such a young age, that's cool. The guy's got respect. Uh, he's from France, so I don't know. He's got different values, but in terms of basketball, he's got very high basketball IQ and respect for the sport and his teammates.
Yeah.
But yes, our young squad's got a lot of growth to go.
And it's like, like Jordan. What Jordan took 6 years. I think Curry took like 4 or 5 to get the first championship. I mean, these are like, LeBron went to the finals, it got swept. And so, sometimes it just, and it's crazy because like a lot of, was it old heads or whatever, they're like, oh no, the basketball used to be better, whatever, the golden age. But then like whenever a player comes out and they're like, oh, they're not as good, like, dude, like let them develop, like, it takes a while. We see Ant, he now he's flourishing. He's been in the league for a while. We talked about Darren Fox. He's gonna be Sacramento for life. He is their Curry. He literally, but it took him a while to get there. They still haven't gone past the hump, but I'm sure by like a couple of years they'll be there.
Yeah. Victor Antetokounmpo, the dude was like a walking stick. Now, like, he's all shredded up. Zion Williamson,
Yeah,
he got a little bit heavy set, but now he's like lean and he's fierce now.
He's quick, dude. He's still quick. Like, despite his despite he's a bigger guy, he's still quick. And honestly, that's all you need. And Wemby's still 19. They're still a little young. That I still, even with Duncan and all them, because I know they've been helping the Spurs out. They've been trying to tutor and everything. Like, they're still young. And I think this, they talked about. I hear all players talk all the time how at some point you stop learning how to play basketball and you start learning how to win. Where how to play basketball, you've been playing this for years, but then you're like, dude, okay, I see it. I see things differently, or whatever, this and that, or whatever, and that's when you start learning how to win. So I think the Spurs are starting to learn how to win. I think they'll start doing that there by next year. I think this year was just learning how to be a team.